For those of you who are like me and have had the misfortune of playing League of Legends, you're gonna understand most of what I'm about to say in this video. For the rest of you who haven't been burnt by the in-game flame, buckle in. You're in for one hell of an explanation of what Summoner's Rift is like. Before we go anywhere, you need to remember the #1 most important rule of League of Legends, and under no circumstances do you ever break this rule. It is always your teammates' fault. You haven't done anything wrong. If you had better teammates, maybe you'd be competing with Faker at Worlds. Just to get a general breakdown of each lane and what they do, you've got top laners, who always seem to be angry, mid laners who are trying to get the do and be rise hack 240 CS at 10 minutes, bot laners who always also seem to be angry, supports who seem to be confused about what they're doing at any given time, and junglers who are also confused and angry, and also trying to farm. Everybody's just angry, confused, and trying to farm. Now we can move on to classes, and all the joys that come with them. Let's just start with the tanks, which remember are top laners. Tanks are really durable. They have a lot of health and a lot of magic resist and armor, but really low base damage, so you know, they're not going to deal a ton of damage, which would make sense for balancing. We'll move on to bruisers, who are kind of like tanks, but they have less durability and higher base damage, so they can also last a long time in team fights. That's fine. We'll just move on to the next one. Mages. Mages are like glass cannons. They don't have a lot of durability, and they're really squishy, but they will one-shot anything and everything. Seems to be a recurring pattern with the damage. Assassins get up close and personal, look you in the eyes, and perform the most seizure-inducing combo you've ever seen in any video game, and then somehow blink back 3 screens away while you die. Marksmen are mostly useless for the first 30 minutes of the game, but for the last 5, they get to do whatever they want, as long as there's not an enemy tank, bruiser, mage, assassin, or another marksman they have to deal with. Other than that though, they can pretty much do whatever the heck they want. There's usually 2 different kinds of categories for supports: Engage supports and Enchanter supports. Engage supports will find the worst possible time to go in, and Enchanter supports will take all of the kills and never do anything useful with it. But they'll blame the AD carry for being bad at the game, because remember, the first rule of League of Legends is it's never your fault. Now, if we were to put this all in a spreadsheet, we can clearly identify the strengths of each class and how different they are from each other. Honestly, looking at all these stats, I can confidently say, I don't think there's enough damage. We need more damage. Everything needs to hit like a semi-truck falling on Saturn. Now, apart from classes, we can go even more specifically into champions. And honestly, there are a lot of champions that are really well known for things that they do. Like Malzahar, who, when he ults you, gives you enough time to sit there and contemplate your life about why you're even playing this game. Master Yi, who right-clicks. A lot. Morgana, who can crowd control you long enough to give you enough time to get a PhD, come back, and still maybe have to wait a couple of years to be able to play again. Zed, who in the hands of a good player will make you hate its existence, and in the hands of a bad player will make you wonder why on earth Zed even exists. Cho'Gath, for being big. There's also champions who require an incredible amount of APM, actions per minute, to be able to play them at an even okay level, like Aurelion Sol, or Veigar. A lot of skill involved in those ones. But there's also champions who actually do require a lot of APM, and at this point I wouldn't be surprised if there was a meta that involved you dislocating all of your fingers in order to be able to perform the most optimal animation cancel combo, like Riven or Irelia. And then there's also the 200 years of collective game design champion. Basically any champion made after 2020. If they don't have an ability description that is longer than a PhD thesis, then it's really not that fun to play. They've got to have a 3-hit passive, a dash, a way to reset the dash, maybe some invisibility, because really, if you don't have to read a light novel to play your champion, you're not really having fun with the champion. Now we're going to move away from roles and champions, and we're going to get more into the map side of things. Big Meta is going to try to convince you that terms and phrases like macro and freezes and slow pushing and managing your wave are somehow important. They're trying to brainwash you. Don't ever listen to them. Under no circumstances do you ever turn your brain on to actually think about what the consequences of your actions are going to be. Straying away from using your brain power a little bit, we're going to go into runes and summoner spells. Basically, you're going to always pick Flash, but the most important part about what you do with Flash is the key that you put it on. If you put Flash on D, you probably also think that a hot dog is a sandwich. Don't be ridiculous, just put it on the right key. F is for Flash. Flash doesn't start with a D. It's not Dlash. I'd rather put it, it's just spat. Now that your D key is freed up, you can bring any kind of other different spell you want. You can bring Ghost to go a little fast. You can bring Ignite to barely not kill someone and always leave them on 1 HP. You can bring Teleport to never use it to join a fight. You can bring Barrier and Exhaust if you're a baby and still need your Binky at night to go to sleep. You can bring Heal to have the illusion of safety for when you get one shot by the enemy mid laner. And you can bring Cleanse to try and cleanse some crowd control and still die anyways. As for runes, just use Google. I pick whatever the Koreans are picking. I don't know. That's what everyone does anyways. And items are the same way. Just use Google or whatever the game recommends. Don't try to make up your own build because you are not a Chinese super server one-trick. You're not defining that meta, unfortunately. Once all that's sorted, you've got your champion, your lane, your items, your summoner spells, your runes. You've got the idea of how to play the game. You load into the game, and past 3 minutes, you realize none of it matters. Past 3 minutes, it's an absolute clown show. You don't know what's going on, no one knows what's going on. The best way to describe it is 5 cavemen versus another 5 cavemen, all swinging clubs at each other. Whoever it hits, as long as you don't get hit. If you do get hit, it's your teammate's fault. Remember, rule number 1, always your teammate's fault. And amidst the chaos of all the cavemen swinging, you gain a moment of sentience and start to think to yourself, what if, after all of those games that you've played, with so many different teammates, so many different champions and playstyles, that the reason you're losing games isn't because of your teammates. Maybe the reason you're losing games is because the jungler isn't doing enough. I swear to God.